All right. Hello and welcome to David Taylor, the American Motors Guy. And I was invited today to come down and see Don Edmonds and his beautiful car. So what I wanted to do is let Don tell the story of his car, because it is his car. And it is a stunning piece of automotive machinery. And Don went through the whole process of ordering it and doing all of that. So I'm gonna let Don, and Don, you're one of our Tennessee Valley members, and we had this car up at the Nationals, and you received a junior gold.
No, senior gold.
Okay, well, it should have been a junior gold. It may have been a mistake and whatever, but this car, this is Don's very first time he ever showed it, so that was pretty cool that Don was able to achieve that, and he has been fighting some illness, and he's coming back with a vengeance. Hey, go get him, Don.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're going to be talking about his particular car. So, Don, go ahead and tell us about your car, man.
Okay. Well, this car will be 51 years old in about 2 weeks. I fell in love with American Motors the first time I saw one of their javelins. And that would have been back mid-60s, 66, somewhere along in there. And it was in an ad on TV. I didn't see one in person. And I just really fell in love with the company. I bought stock in it. That didn't turn out well. I ended up buying this car. But I want to tell you about this car because there's some things here that are really unique to the car. When I graduated University of Tennessee, the spring of '72, as my present to myself, I was going to buy an AMX, javelin AMX, and went down and was looking at the '72s, and I told my wife, I said, you know, it won't be long before the '73s come out, and I wonder if they're going to change anything. I might rather have a '73. And she said, well, wait. If you like the '73 better, buy it. If you don't, '72s will still be around. I said, good idea. So on the introduction date in September of '72, we went down to Howard Pontiac in Knoxville to see the brand new '73 Javelin AMX. And I said, that's it, that's what I want.
Now the introduction, I want you to talk about that a little bit. That's something that people don't hear about anymore. So the introduction day, that's when the car is released to the public at that particular.
Well, yeah, they used to do that. They do all this advertising and say, come to the dealer on the 20th of September, we're going to show the new cars, and they'd have them under wraps till then. And made a big deal out of it. And so we went down on an introduction date and got to see the brand new car. And so started negotiating with a salesman about buying the car, you know, price and what options I wanted. Well, one of the things that was kind of unique at the time, because inflation was so bad, you think it's bad now, back in '72 it was bad, and President Nixon put on price controls. He froze prices. And he told people you cannot raise prices on cars, apartment rents, all kinds of things. So when I went down and started negotiating the price of the options, the salesman had to look in the '72 price book because he couldn't raise me to '73 prices. So the car was priced in '72 dollars. So we priced out the car, ordered it. It took a little over a month, 6 weeks maybe, to come in, and then I went to pick it.
Let me stop you real quick.
Okay.
Now, when you say you ordered it, now you had to sit down and pick out because that's where you stroked it with a pen. You checked off the boxes to pick off what you wanted. When you say you ordered something, that's what. Yeah. People today, you don't order anything. Today, you walk in and this is packaged, this deal, this is what it is, and that's it.
Well, they had cars on the showroom floor, but I wanted what I wanted on the car. So we sat there and I wanted the spoiler, and I wanted the package, and I wanted the interior, and I wanted the radio. And so we sat there and went through the list of options.
Okay.
Checked them off. I said, how much is that option? And so forth. We negotiated, checked them off. So ordered it, came in, they called me, I went and picked it up, and right off the bat, I saw 2 or 3 things wrong with it. And let me tell you, since that time period, I've bought new vehicles, never taken them back to the dealer because they were in perfect shape. But let me tell you, this car I picked up, and you'd be amazed that a brand new car, but when I picked it up, the radio didn't work. And you turn it on right down the road, it'd come on and play, and then it'd go off. One of the things I took back to the dealer to have repaired, and he never repaired it. I went back 13 times to the dealer, and let me tell you why. I bought this car in November. End of December, I lost my job. And so I went back to school, working on a master's on the GI Bill, and so I had time to take the car to the dealer. And so I took it. I've got the paperwork I can show you. 13 times I went to the dealer and said the radio doesn't work. And they supposedly fixed it, and they didn't. Years later, when I was redoing the car, had the radio out, I took it to a radio repair shop, and the repairman took it and he did this, and it rattled. He turned it upside down and knocked it, and a piece of solder fell out, and he said, "That's your problem. That solder's rolling around in there, grounding out when it hits things, and that's why it works and doesn't work." Well, done me. I never tried it, put it all back in the car, and it still doesn't work. The next thing's oil cap. You know, the little oil cap sits on the engine. Somebody along the way, when they had the hood open and the air induction cleaner didn't put it square over the carburetor, and they had the edge of it over the oil cap, they slammed the hood, and the oil cap had a V on the top of it. So they had to replace the oil cap. They delivered it to me like that, and it was obvious they had to replace the oil cap. The front air spoiler was damaged. They'd obviously run into the curb or something and busted it on the front. They got me another spoiler, and when they came in, I said, "Give me the spoiler," and they gave it to me. I put it up, it's in the box, and I put it up for 45 years or whatever it was. And when I restored the car, I pulled that out and put it on the car. In the meantime, I fiberglassed that one that was busted on the car. The speedometer bounced. They never got that fixed. And when I restored the car, I sent it off to the speedometer company and finally got it fixed. I had a terrible leak in the trunk. If it rained, everything in the trunk was wet. 12 times they had it and supposedly fixed it and didn't. I locked my wife in the trunk with a flashlight, sprayed it with a hose. We marked the places in the trunk where it leaked with red spray paint. I took it to them the 13th time and said, "That's where it leaks, fix it," and they fixed it. Why it took 13 times. And finally, in my ordering process, I ordered a different ratio rear axle. Well, when I bought the car, I ordered a dealer service manual. And I put it on the rack one day and was going through the part numbers on everything, and lo and behold, the part number for the differential was for the original one came on the car, not the one I ordered. I went back to the dealer and said, "You didn't put the one in, here's the paperwork, you didn't put the one in there I ordered." So happened that the dealer representative was in the dealership that day, and they called him back to service. They had a mechanic go out and look because they thought I was a dumb, didn't know any better. And he came back and said, "The guy's right, doesn't have the correct differential in there." So the dealer guy says, "Okay, we'll put the correct one in there. But my advice to you is keep what you got, because you start messing with it, you're liable to create a problem." And I thought about it and said, "You're right. It's working fine. Let's just leave it like it is." So I have the differential that originally came with the car. I'll tell you another story here. After 13 times going to the dealer and these things not getting fixed, at 13th time, I pull old trick and put a rock on a tire in front. You know, reach up in there and put a rock on a tire. Because I got the impression they weren't touching the car at all. I'd go to pick it up and it'd be parked in the same spot where I left it. Lo and behold, they said, we fixed all the things. Here's the paperwork, service stuff. I go out there and reach up there and guess what? There's the rock on the tire. I said, they hadn't touched that car. And I said, well, obviously they're tired of me. They're not going to do anything. If it gets fixed, I got to fix it.
So you wouldn't carry it to any other AMC dealer?
Well, there wasn't another in town, and I wasn't going to go anywhere else.
So Grayson wasn't open.
Howard.
Howard.
Yeah, Howard. Nope, Howard was
No, I'm
on.
talking about you had Grayson, and then you had, and Alcoa was Delmar Haynes.
Yeah, Delmar, but I don't remember Delmar. They may have been there, but I just don't remember them.
Okay.
I couldn't answer that. I just decided the heck with them, and I'll fix what I can, and went from there. And like I say, today the only thing doesn't work is the radio, and that's my fault because I should have had them hook it up and check it after the guy got the solder out of it, but I just took his word for it, and my bad. But that's some other things about the car I'll mention. The vinyl top is the fourth one. 3 of them have rusted out underneath, and if you have a vinyl top, it'll start rusting underneath and bubble up. This time, when I painted the car, I had them paint the whole car, and then we put the vinyl top on, and it hadn't rusted. Knock on wood, but it's perfect. And so we seem to have killed that bugaboo, and the vinyl top's wonderful. The other thing that's really odd about this car is the water pump. I've replaced the water pump on this car probably about every 15, 20,000 miles. I don't know why, but they go bad. And they went to the point of buying expensive ones, you know, aftermarket expensive things, not American Motors ones. 15, 20,000, the water pump to go out. This water pump seems to last, and again, knock on wood, this seems to be a good one. The car I ordered has Pierre Cardin interior.
And that was an $85.
Yes, it was an $85 option. I just restored it for $2,000, so it went up a little bit. But let me tell you about Pierre Cardin. American Motors started doing a bunch of things to attract the younger people to their cars. And one of the things they started doing is doing interior things. Their design department came up with an idea to get Pierre Cardin, and he was a French dress designer, very famous designer in France. He didn't even speak English, to design an interior. So they went to Paris, met with him, and he agreed to design an interior. And so he did this. And he sent them somewhere up of 10 different designs, and they picked one. And the one in my car is the one they picked. It is a multicolored stripe, and it's absolutely gorgeous. They picked the right one. And I tell you what, I just love that interior. But over the years, over the 45-ish years, the car sat outside for most of those years because I didn't have a garage. The interior faded. And it still looked good, but you put it up next to a current color and you see how bad it faded. So Pierre Cardin designed this, sent the design to American Motors. Their design people looked at it, figured how it would fit in the cars, how it would fit on the seats and the overhead, and how they'd make the piece on the door panel would have that design in it and so forth. And so that's where the Pierre Cardin javelin came from. It was set for introduction in March of '72. And so if you bought a '72 javelin and ordered it, or the dealer ordered it, starting in March of '72, you could get the Pierre Cardin interior. And then it was a '73 option for the whole year. The number of Pierre Cardin javelins produced was 4,152, which amazes me. I've not seen that many around, but that's an awful lot produced.
That 4,100 number is for a 2-year run.
Yeah.
That's for 2 years.
Yeah.
So if you split it, it only comes out to like 2075.
Well, it would have been that because they didn't have them in 72 until the last part of the model years. So,
right.
So there's probably a lot more in 73 than 72.
Right. Now before the Pierre Cardin, Aldo Gucci had created the they had sent him 2 sportabouts.
Right.
And Aldo Gucci had done the sportabouts, and that's coming up in another video. We'll be doing Aldo Gucci. We'll be talking to I can't even think of his name right now. I'm drawing a blank, but we have Goldie is the name of the car. So we'll be doing Goldie to go along with this car. So it was, American Motors used a whole bunch of fashion designers. It was 3 actually, so there's also Canassi. And Canassi was in the Matador. So now, when you went to go restore this car, and you had the faded interior, what in the world did you do? I mean,
well, the interior was no longer available. You couldn't buy it at any price. It just was out of existence. And lo and behold, I even paid a guy out in Arizona for 2 bolts of cloth of this, and he never shipped them to me, wouldn't give me my money back. But anyway, I ran into this brochure for this company out on the West Coast, SMS Fabrics, for this interior. I called him on the phone, gave him a credit card, and said, he said, we hadn't produced it yet. And I said, I want to pay for it. I want the first off the line. Paid him for it. Well, that started a long process because, as it turned out, he had contracted a company to make this fabric. The company ended up not making it. He bought the machine from the company to make the fabric. Turned out the machine had a broken part. The machine was from France. He had to go to France, run down the part and buy it to get the machine to work. Anyway, this ran, I guess, 5 years, 6 years, and I'm talking to him about every week on email, and he's trying to get this thing up and running. He finally got the machine running. He needed a piece of fabric so he could get the colors correct. And he ran into what I ran into. You can't find a piece of fabric anywhere. I took my back seat out, took the fabric off and sent it to him because it's the best color in my car. And then lo and behold, he called me one day and said, I found a piece of fabric, original, so I can produce it. Didn't hear from him. Doorbell rang one day, went to the front door, and lo and behold, there was a bolt of cloth of this Pierre Cardin fabric, beautiful, just like the original. And so I took it down the street to a gentleman who makes interiors for classic cars. And he took my interior out, took all the seats apart, and made, what would you call it?
Pattern?
Pattern. He made pattern for each piece and cut it and sewed it together. And let me tell you what, is absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And I just thank everybody else. But that $85 I paid the first time around cost me $2,000 to buy the fabric and to have it made this time around. And I'm sure it'd be more money now if you were to be able to do it. In SMS, I asked him when he did it, I said, do you want me to tell the club that this fabric's available? And he said, no, I don't have any more, or something like that. So I don't know whether he even has any. Call him, but I don't know if he even has any.
Well, it's amazing the work that SMS did to try to get it and produce it and make things out. And that's one of the companies that's on my parts video. And like I said, there's not just Legendary, there is SMS, and they carry everything from 1930s all the way up into, I think, the early 1990s. So they carry everything from leather to vinyl to the cloth to whatever. And if they only have 2 or 3 yards of something, then they'll let you know, hey, well, I need 2 yards. Well, we got 3, and you're buying all 3. And that's how they operate. So we want to thank SMS for their hard work. And
well, if there was enough demand, they might crank the machine down.
They might crank it back up, yeah. So,
but I highly recommend it. This interior, you'll see, absolutely drop dead gorgeous.
All right,
I'm telling you, and everywhere I take it, people just ooh and ah over it. In fact, a couple of years ago, I won Best Interior at the Mopar Show, which is a very large show here in Knoxville every summer.
Right.
And I won Best Interior.
The Fun in the Sun car show, and that's we're going to keep that in our club as a yearly event, and we will keep attending that show, and we'll be attending we'll be making the Townsend show a yearly show, and we're trying to build this club and keep things rocking and rolling and keep our members active. And but now we're going to cut the camera, and we're going to turn this thing around, and we're going to do a walk around on this beautiful car, and we're going to show you how beautiful the interior is and how great the car is. So we'll see you in a few minutes.